DePew.
Present. Okay, welcome everyone. And as I stated, if you would, have your cell phones up if you'd lower and put them on vibrate, just not to disturb the meeting. At this time, we have no public hearings. I will make a motion not to read the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Got a motion on the floor with a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. I will make a motion to accept the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to accept the minutes of the previous meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, I do have a couple of additions here. One of the additions that we do have on here during the e-waste day on March 29th, I did receive a call from the Rotary, and TEG Credit Union is going to add a shredding opportunity for the public at that time. So if there is documents or whatever papers that you would like to have shredded, come on down and they will do that service for free. The next thing, we have a request for training for the building department. So I did receive a letter, and I will read that. Okay, to the town board from the building department. Dear board, we would like to attend New York State Codes training on 4/22 through 4/24/2025. New York State requires 24 hours of continuous education to keep our certification as code enforcement officers. This training satisfies those requirements. The cost of attending the training is $385 per person. This is William Johansky and Greg Hermans. Those are both our code enforcement officials for the town of Plattekill. They would like to attend. We're asking that the town for payment of the registration fees, vouchers attached with the related invoices. So what this is, they're called PDH hours, they're professional development hours, and both the code enforcement officials are required to do a minimum of 24 hours recertification. The training that will go on will also teach them or make them aware and train them on all of the new things that come out, new codes, variations to older codes or existing codes, and give them an opportunity to come up to speed. So I did look at their budget, and there is money that is allotted in there. We should be okay, $770 for the pair of them. And questions, concerns, comments from the board? No?
This just covers everything, brings them all, they'll be all in compliance, correct?
Yes.
Training is very important.
Yep. All right, so I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion. We send William Johansky and Greg Hermans to the training.
Okay, at the cost of $385 per person?
Yes.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor with a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, I will let them know tomorrow that they can go ahead and do that, and I will make sure that this voucher gets completed accurately and get that in the books. Thank you. Next letter we have here as an addition is a take-home car. I did not have the opportunity today to follow up. There was a couple of questions that I had that I did want to follow up on. And what this is about, I'll read the letter, then I will kind of explain to you what this request actually is. So it is February 24th, 2025. To Supervisor DePew and the town board from the building department. Dear Dean DePew, I am writing to formally request consideration for a take-home vehicle assigned as part of my role as code enforcement officer within the town of Plattekill. Reason for request, increased responsibilities due to the nature of my position, which often requires responding to emergencies within the town, i.e. fire calls, emergencies with buildings, etc. Having a readily accessible vehicle would significantly enhance my ability to effectively respond to the immediate needs and fulfill my duties. Improved community presence, and the next paragraph says, allows increased presence in the town, potentially deterring issues that would arise from a non-presence, work being done on, when, weekends, holidays, evenings, nights, efficiency, and time saving. Eliminating the need to commute to the office to access a company vehicle would save valuable time and enable me to maximize my work hours on critical tasks. Commitment to a vehicle. I understand the importance of and the responsibility of vehicle use and am committed to maintaining the assigned vehicle in excellent condition, adhering to all town policies regarding use of maintenance, I would be happy to discuss this request further and provide any additional information needed to support my application. And it is William Jahoski, Building Inspector and Code Enforcement. Gentlemen, what's your ideas here?
My ideas, I mean, I know mileage is up there, paying for mileage, but he's a part-time worker, so he would have this vehicle 7 days a week, correct?
Correct.
Would it be more efficient and cost efficient if we paid him mileage for using his own vehicle when he has to respond to calls?
Good point. Okay, Councilman Hoppestead?
I'm going to agree with Councilman Fazio on that one.
All right, any other comments? Councilman Castillo?
We had a problem with this on numerous occasions. That it was going to Poughkeepsie, it was going all over the place, going to Walden. So I'd rather see, just like James and Mr. Fazio, Jojo, to pay him the mileage when he's on call. Because this way it's here, we maintain it, and there's no abuse.
Understood. Councilman O'Flaherty?
What vehicle would it be?
The trucks.
The one of the pickup trucks that's assigned.
Red one or the...
One or the other. I'm not sure which one he's physically.
I mean, I'm inclined to agree with the three of them. It's just hard to keep track of mileage and where it's going. I understand the perspective of community presence and preventing some things as well.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to just add to that. He's not fire or police. He's being called, so he could come here and pick up the vehicle. With that another set of keys made, that he jumps into the vehicle and goes to wherever it is. Because he's not going to be one to put out a fire. He's not going to be there for any kind of call for the ambulance. So he could come here, pick it up, and go.
Understood.
You don't have to say where he lives, but is he local in town?
He's actually in Clinton. So let me just kind of piggyback on and give you my 2 cents
So he's
for what
close,
it's worth. In looking at it and looking at the whole aspect of it, if we have a vehicle that's off campus, so to speak, for 7 days a week, and it's here during 24 hours a week or what have you that he's working, we do lose that opportunity to use that vehicle the other 4 days. I will tell you that the highway superintendent, his guys come up and utilize one of those trucks, if not 2 of those trucks, quite often, and that by design, that works. If we do a take-home car or a take-home vehicle, then we open up liabilities for accidents and whatever. But I will say that we need to give the appropriate tools to do the job. So that being said, regardless of whether it's a personal vehicle that we're paying mileage on or the vehicle that we have here, I kind of like what you just said about the spare set of keys. Mileage, I believe, should be paid to utilize his own vehicle if he is utilizing his own vehicle. But the opportunity also, if the call is in Modena or Plattekill coming by, that would give him the opportunity not to have to unlock the building,
that's what I'm...
building or whatever. If it's
Each of them,
and the mileage will still stay the same. I will tell you this, that I do know that he's been out several times to the fire departments. He's been called out different hours of the night, and I have to tell you that Mr. Jahoski is doing a great job.
Yes.
I think he was a great asset, a great addition to the staff here, and I look forward to many, many good years, with him. So that being said, what's the pleasure of the board?
Extra set of keys and come here. That's the way I feel about it.
So I'll entertain a motion. So you're putting
Make
in a motion?
a motion that each of the code enforcer and fire inspector have the 2 sets of keys, extra keys.
No.
This way they don't have to come into the building. They could just hop, start the vehicle and go.
So they will give plural. We'll give both the opportunity to utilize the vehicle.
Because you have 2 vehicles just in case the highway ended up using it and there's only one there.
Understood.
They can always take the other.
Understood. So the next question is, and I'm not telling you to, I'm just going to give you a suggestion. If you would include in your motion, any time that he is called for emergency services to perform the duties of his
Other than the
job,
time of
he should be paid mileage.
mileage. Yes.
Okay.
He should be paid mileage on.
Because just one more thing, like in the winter, I could see him using his own vehicle. You know why? Because he does does he go out sometimes to fire calls?
All the time.
So in the winter, it's like he would have to go outside, warm up his vehicle, come here, warm up and defrost this one. So why can't we have it two-tiered?
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Plus,
It
this
really
is
does.
four-wheel drive. If he goes out to one of these jobs, at least he's covered with the counter with the vehicle. That's the way.
Yeah, so, I mean, either way, it gives him the opportunity in something like that to,
Yeah, either or.
Yeah.
So
Either or,
everything's covered.
if that happens, he could lose the whole vehicle.
okay, so just let me see if I get this right. Councilman Castillo, you're going to make a motion to allow him to utilize his own vehicle,
Yes.
and we will pay him
necessary.
miles. Yeah, we will pay him mileage if it's necessary to use his own vehicle, but we also will offer both code enforcement officials a set of keys for both vehicles to
Yes.
be issued to them personally.
Personally, and then if they leave the job, they got to turn it into.
We'll sign them out, sign them back in.
Yes.
Okay, so that's accurate?
Yes.
Okay, do I have a second on the motion?
I will second that.
We have a second on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Thank you. Okay. Now, before I go to public input, I would like to kind of change things up. I do have a request. I received a letter from the Walden Playboy Motorcycle Club Incorporated, and I am going to move them up and out of line just because he has an appointment to get to tonight. Okay, so I received this letter from, and that's actually from President Catherine Fox, and this was February 1st, 2025. And I did have an opportunity to meet with one of the representatives, and I will introduce him in a moment. Supervisor Depew, I hope the beginning of 2025 finds you and your family well as Walden MX gets ready for another season of motocross. The following tentative dates are for our race weekends, our race weekends and Saturday practices only dates. So race weekend, they are asking for a spring fling, which would be Saturday, April 5th, open practice Sunday, April 6th, race day. The Loretta Lynn National Area Qualifier, Friday, May 2nd is the open practice, Saturday, May 3rd, race day, and Sunday, May 4th, race day. Northeast ATV, Friday, July 25th, open practice. Saturday, July 26th, race day upon approval. SummerSlam would be Saturday, August 23rd, open practice Sunday, August 24th, race day. Halloween Classic, race and food coat drive. Friday, October 24th, open practice on Saturday, October 25th, race day, Sunday, October 26th, race day upon approval. Open practice would be Saturday, March 22nd, Saturday, November 8th, Saturday, November 22nd. As always, we respectfully request the dates October 24th, 25th, and 26th for a Halloween Classic, and that includes the numbers that I just read. Coat and food drive pending your approval, and also if, and then it cuts off there. So, cancellation takes place. If the cancellation takes place, we will notify the town ASAP and will not reschedule said canceled event earlier than 2 weeks from original date. With an excellent 2024 season in the books, Walden MX is looking forward to an even brighter 2025. Last year, we had requested 2 additional dates to operate so another organization could be brought into the facility to hold an event. This year, the same organization was requesting to use the facility again, and they would like to come in. Walden MX is July 24th and July 25th. I believe that was 2 of the dates that I did read. Yeah. So we would appreciate the ability to proceed with this additional event with our town's blessing. Any correspondence and input from you, our local government, would be welcome. We're trying to get ahead of this early and provide plenty of time for discussion. Plus, the other organization is looking to finalize their own schedule and would love to have Walden MX as its opening round. We appreciate your time and concern in this matter and look forward to hearing from you as soon as, and wish you all a happy and prosperous 2025. Respectfully, Catherine Fox, Walden MX President 2025. So on the last page, it shows your dates, or the amount of the dates that I read off, the dates with the day of the week also onto it. I believe we are talking, the day totals would be 3 Fridays, 8 Saturdays, 4 Sundays. Okay, that's going to be a total of 15 days, and this is what we've allowed them in the past, and basically it's almost following the same schedule. If I could, I'd like to introduce Mike Billieu, and you can step right up and give us a word or two.
My name is Michael Billieu. I'm Vice President of Walden MX. Yeah, we're bringing this schedule in front of you. Like Supervisor Pugh said, it's no different than last year. No more day. Actually, it's less dates than we did last year. We had more open practices. We can't do that this year because a lot of conflict with schedules. We can't have it against other things, so there is a little bit less as far as the open practices. So yeah, we're just looking for you guys' permission to carry on the schedule as we did last year. We had a really good year. The Halloween race that you guys allow us to do and stuff like that is a big one for us.
Okay, so that being said, with what Mr. Billieu said, is this is pretty much the same schedule as it was last year. I believe it was either last year or the year before you actually got rained out 2 of those days, whether the weather.
The year before.
So with that, I did have actually met twice, and we discussed the insurance certificate that would have to be handed into the building department in compliance with the rules, and as well as the potable water. The water sample has to be tested with the Ulster County Health Department. They give a yay or a nay with that, and that would have to be turned in before the events actually took place. That will be done, I believe, in the next coming couple of weeks. You haven't turned the water on, rightfully so. It's still pretty cold out there. But that will be in compliance as well. We always ask, and I've said it to you several times, we always ask to be good neighbors. You know, there's people that are over there in that neighborhood, as well as further away from that neighborhood that actually are affected by it, so we always ask that you do be good neighbors and abide by the rules. So what is the board's pleasure?
I would like to make a motion to accept their proposal and give the supervisor any authority to sign any contract.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor to go ahead with this schedule.
Yep.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And as soon as you get that information, just forward it to me, and you're good.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Okay, received another, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. So, at this time, I will make a motion at 7:20 p.m. to open the floor for public input.
I will second that.
Got a motion with a second to open the floor for public input at 7:20 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. I always wonder if, like, 4 of you guys would be opposed to public input. What happens if we
Just give me one. Before, when you guys speak, please speak loudly and state who you are, because Sarah's having in the bathroom.
Okay.
This way the recorder picks it up better.
Okay, very good. So at this time, we will entertain questions, comments from the public. Yes, ma'am.
Annette Laskowski. I never sit back this far. I thought several meetings ago, Willie, you said you were bringing in a...
Yeah, we have it. I didn't put it on today because I rewired the speakers and I didn't get to do a check because I did it on a Saturday and the mics were locked up because I changed the configuration of the wires. But the next one they will be on.
So I have to say, I'm very glad that you asked that question, because I do want the public to know that Mr. Castillo donated that with his own money, his own time, and he has put up the 4 speakers that are on the walls. He's purchased the equipment you see up on the shelf, along with the shelf, and he spent quite a bit of hours rewiring the whole system. So I thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that.
These here, I have to redesign this because it's metal and they're old and they're grounding out on everything. That's why we had a humming, Bob, you were here.
Oh, that's why we
So
did that.
that's why we had, I found out. So I had to redo some stuff. So I'll be working on the next meeting.
Next meeting, can we do karaoke?
Yeah, if you want it, I'll bring some disco lights.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Get to it.
You know, lazy.
For now. Okay, anyone else? Yes, sir.
Anthony Cavino, here again with the project that's going on behind my house. I was here last meeting and you suggested I give you more bullet points with questions and concerns. I think when I was here the last time I gave bullet points and I gave some foils that I looked into. I have some questions. I know you've been a part of this building probably since high school. Very well known in the town, always putting an effort here since then. We've had many conversations since this incident has gone on. And as I'm looking through some of these foils, I had to scratch my head because in January of 2020, you were part of the town board.
Yes.
Okay. And when this project began to happen, things were voted on, things were pushed through. I mean, let's face it, it was done illegally. There's no other word to say it. I stood outside in that parking lot and talked to you a couple of weeks ago, and it was a good conversation and a bad conversation. I've been friends with you for many, many years. I respect the fact that you're a stand-up guy. I've known your family. You've known mine. We had a disagreement, of course. You said you were very disappointed in me because I did not know the zoning laws. So my concern is, you're saying I didn't know that. Okay, but there's people on the board, including yourself, that voted yes for this project, yet it went against your own town zoning laws. Okay, you can answer me back later. And that's concerning to me. I took a lot of paperwork and I sent it up to Albany Ethics Committee. Okay, everybody's name's on it. The question they had for me also was, is there an ethics committee here? There is. Okay. Knowing that this is going on, and you're now supervisor and then part of the town board, and a vote was made for something like this, who sits on the ethics committee?
So I, for one, sit on the ethics committee, as well as Councilman Fazio.
So-
There's 3 other, well, let me just finish.
Go ahead.
There's 3 other individuals. If it's something that involves me and something that comes up, I would recuse myself immediately from that.
Okay.
I can.
That was going to be my next question, because that would be a conflict of interest.
That would be illegal and disrespectful.
Absolutely.
I won't do that.
So after going through that, I foiled the site maps. They are now being looked over. Okay, and when I get back with the answers with that, I'll be here next meeting with that also. My concern is, I've been stonewalled, I've been yes to death, I've been told we're looking into it, but yet, I had an old board member tell me last meeting that automatically the code enforcement officer, knowing that this happened, should go there, that there should be a stop work order, and those containers should be taken out of there because they're in there illegally. Okay? I also mentioned Ed Dillard. Ed Dillard, stand-up guy. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Ed Dillard, stand-up guy. Unfortunately, he was pushed out. He was the only one, and I'll say it again, he was the only one that stepped up and did his job. Okay? Now it's funny. I'm not done. I'm not done. This is my time. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time. It's my time.
When it's my
When
time,
I'm done,
I want you to listen.
I'll listen to you, but it's my time, so respect me.
I will respect you.
Then let me
Please
have my
respect
time.
the board.
Let me have my time.
Go ahead.
And with that being said, in the 5 years, I'm going to show everybody on this board how much respect that you've given me with the stuff that I put up with behind my house. How much concern you've given me for 5 years with all the problems I had behind my house. So that answers your question for that. So let me finish.
Okay, let's get back
So-
to the point. Let him get back.
Let me finish, because I'm going to open this up like Pandora's box. Trust me. I was approached by an individual that actually works for Mr. Earl and said, "Hey, aren't you the guy who was at the meeting one time that had those broken signs that were on your property?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You're Anthony, right?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, well, they did that on purpose. They were trying to entice you."
What broken signs?
What broken signs?
Yes.
My trespassing signs. The ones I brought here and I showed you.
Post
5 of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I was told that, well, you have to understand something. He's a good old boy. He's had steel containers on his other property for years. Scott Lewandowski knows about it. You can see them. They're there. And in your own zoning laws, it says residential or business cannot have steel containers. And they're still there today. You can see them from the road, and you can see them from the Rolling Acres Trailer Park. We had a conversation out in that parking lot, and you told me you can't wait to start cleaning up this town. I'm waiting. I've been waiting patiently.
Well,
with all the
I'm
stuff
sorry
that's
that
going
you
on
can't
behind
see
my
what's
house.
going on.
But I'm not done.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay? But here it is. Some guy I don't even know approaches me at Stewart's in Modena. And it gets better. I go inside to get a coffee. Former employee of the town of Plattekill says, "Anthony, I don't know, man, you're stirring the hornet's nest down there. But you got to remember, Bob Earl's a good old boy." So it goes back from day one when I came here, and I was flim-flammed by Joe Croce. And then when I started asking concerning questions, Patty Brooks takes me in the back and tries to smooth me over, telling me I don't know what I'm talking about, that this is all legit. Well, to me, if it was all legit, there was no reason for her to take me back there and try to smooth me over. If it was all legit, I would not be standing here today again for I don't know how many times. And I have to ask, you're now supervisor here, okay? You're in a bad position because I know you're friends with Bob and you're also friends with me. But I told you from the get-go, business is business. I was done wrong, and it's obvious. This right that I'm saying right now, where I'm standing here, is like I said before. It's easy to sit behind that desk and yes me to death and stonewall me and tell me I'm going to look into it and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. It's been 5 years. 5 years, and it still continues. Okay? Now, I'm curious. I wonder why Scott Lewandowski resigned. I'm also curious why that Ed Dillard left. He left. He was pushed out, from what I understand. Okay? But again, that's on you guys because you're the guys that runs this town. But my point to you is now that I keep bringing here all the information, everything that's been going on, when are you going to do your job? When is it going to happen? When are you going to say, you know what? He's right. This was done wrong. It's illegal. When are you going to right this wrong? When is it going to happen? 5 years from now? I have to wait another 5 years? Are you going to continue to let him keep doing things back there when all this has happened in black and white? With Scott Lewandowski's name on it, your name's on it, Joe Croce is on it, you guys all voted yay, but yet you're telling me I didn't know the zoning laws out in that parking lot. So again, I'm going to say it is either everybody's that stupid or the fix was in. I'm just wondering when the job's going to be done. So here's a little bit more of information. You can see a wonderful picture of my backyard now of steel containers. Oh, wait, let me see that one.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, that's especially for you.
What's different from this?
That's highlighted. That's highlighted a little more.
Thank you.
Okay, I had 2 realtors come at my house and definitely told me that this takes a hit on my property value. But it doesn't matter because we'll sit behind this desk and we'll keep telling me I'm going to take care of it. When are you going to do your job?
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay. So let me just tell you this, Anthony. I have known you for a hell of a long time. Awful long time. I had a lot of respect for you. I still have respect for you, but I don't have respect when you come up with inaccurate information because you're acting on emotion. And I cannot tell you everything that's going on because I can't do that. If you think it's easy to sit back here behind a desk and just let things happen, you're inaccurate when you say that. But there is a lot of things, it's your perception. And I can totally understand. Okay? Again, I asked you for documentation, and I appreciate the documentation because the documentation hopefully is going to support what you're calling facts. I disagree with some of the facts that you stated. I disagree with the comments that you stated. I'm going to tell you this. I came back to the town hall one day from being out without a jacket on, and I stood in front of that building in that parking lot for probably an hour and 45 minutes listening to you berate me and then slow down and talk with a normal voice. But most of the time, your voice was up. I totally understand that and respect that because I understand you're the position that you are in. You have concerns about it, questions, and you feel your perception is that you're being misled, lied to, what have you. You're inaccurate with a lot of your information, and I'll say two of the things that you are right off the top inaccurate. Neither one of those gentlemen that you expressed were pushed out of here or they left. They left on their own accord. They're grown men.
I didn't say Scott.
They're grown men.
He resigned.
They're grown men, and whatever they did it for, it's their reasons. The same thing when you allude to somebody who sits here who formerly sat on a board. Who was the person that talked to you when they sat on the board? You said a previous board member told you. Who was that? You don't even have to tell me.
I'm not going to tell you.
You don't have to tell me.
I don't have to tell you.
You don't have to tell me.
Exactly.
But I'm going to tell you this.
The questions are all for you, not for me.
I am going to tell you this. I am going to tell you this since it was directed to me. Yes, I was on the board when this project was approved. And it was approved by what the board was told was accurate to the zoning. That was accurate at the time, and the same thing goes today, that I understand it's accurate. Is there things that I feel should have been done right personally? Absolutely. Do I think that the project is not, conducive to the town? That's my personal opinion. I won't share that with you. As far as me being friends with you and friends with Mr. Earl, I'm friends with everybody until I'm not. I don't have a relationship with either one of you guys, a direct relationship that we hang out together, we eat together, we go places together. I know you. I've known you pretty much all my life, I would have to say, pretty close to it anyway. So, that being said, everything that I've told you has not been a slough off that we're not having concerns about this. I got to tell you, honestly, this probably touches my desk or my thoughts or my conversations more than a dozen times a week. Not like a month, a week. Because it is a project that went on in your backyard that you're concerned with it. And that's my job, that's my responsibility, but I'm also morally obligated to look at that and take everything that I can into consideration to try to make it better. I spent time with you. I would love for you to come down and have a civil conversation, and I would love to say, Anthony, this is what happens, this is what's going on, this is what's here. But if I'm inaccurate with the information that I give you, personally, I feel it's going to be thrown back in my face, and I don't want that, because when at the end of the day, I want to make sure the information I give you is spot on and it satisfies your need. Yes, I asked you for you to do this, and I appreciate that you did this, along with the pictures and the highlighting. I'm not going to look at it right now. I'll look at it tonight.
Shouldn't even have done it, though.
I will look at it tonight, but this substantiates your concerns and allows me to actually look at it and say, I see, I see, I see.
I'm just saying that wrong needs to be righted, plain and simple.
And I said it before, and I'll say this before I say it. It's never going to be satisfying to you or complete to you until something is completely done.
That's right.
And I am going to tell you this. It takes time, and I don't know what's going to end up happening at the end of it, but I can assure you, and this is what you're not going to want to hear, I can assure you that there's not a single person sitting on this board that is not concerned with you and your project, just like we are with every project that goes on in this town. There's not one person on this board who has not had multiple conversations with me, multiple concerns, and although they're not walking all over your property, you're not seeing them every day. Everybody's very aware of the project. Everybody has seen it, maybe not driven up into it, but yes, there is concerns with it. If you're concerned, you're a resident, then we need to be concerned. We're the ones who are here working for you. I can't tell you that I can wave that wand and make it go away right away, but I give you my promise. I will do whatever I can in accordance to the law. If it's allowed to be there, it's going to be allowed to be there. If it's not allowed to be there, then there's going to have to be some sort of an avenue to compliance. I don't know what that is. I can't tell you what that is, but I can
tell
assure you
day
that this
one,
board
not to interrupt you.
is on it.
Well, I due respect, since day one, since he's been back there, like I said, the first 8 months didn't even have any permits, was back there digging. I had come here to the town hall. And all of a sudden, 2 weeks out of the blue, I get this letter in the mail that, yep, come to the next planning board, there's a project going on. I have Joe Croce telling me right to my face, don't worry about it. He's just putting containers back there. It's all legit. So it already started out as a lie. Already. And you can't speak for Joe.
You can't own what I say.
Right, exactly. I'm not sitting here blaming it on everybody on this board. But when somebody presents you things and keeps giving you things, and it's been 5 years, and I'll say this time and time again, this town created this monster of Mr. Bob Earl very simply because he does whatever he wants when he wants. Just like him having steel containers in his business for years and never was even approached by any zoning code enforcement to tell him to get rid of them. But yet, people I know are harassed for having the steel containers, but not him. They're still there today. I guarantee you they'll still be there because it's Bob Earl.
Where are the containers that you're talking
on his business property, EnviroClean.
On the one off Coy Road?
Absolutely. You can see a blue one right from the road and 3 gray ones right behind the business. And if you go to Rolling Acres Trailer Park, like the guy told me, you can see him from the trailer park. Been there for years. And he said the reason why he wasn't bothered is because of Scott. Scott wouldn't bother him.
Because Scott didn't bother him?
Didn't bother him.
Okay. When did you see these things there? When did you first notice that they were there?
After the guy told me, I took a ride.
So just recently?
Yes.
Have you ever made a complaint or a notification to the building department to make them be aware that they're back there?
But I just found out about it the other day.
Okay, but I'm asking
So my point is, I'm bringing it up in public hearing, so now you're hearing about it.
Yes.
And you're the one that told me out there you're going to clean this town up.
Is it your intention to write something to the building department?
I'll call him. Whatever I have to do.
If you're memorializing, I think that's a better.
Well, no, because my point is, why should he be allowed to do it, but nobody else in town gets to do it? I'm a firm believer. If I do something to you, I got to do the same thing for him and him and him and him. If he's broke down, he's got a flat tire, and I drive past Willie and wave, but I see you and I stop and fix it, no, that's wrong.
I agree.
I'm going to stop and I'm going to help him. So my point is, what makes him so special? Because he was built by this town. Let's face it. He does all the porta potty stuff. He does everything for the town.
I'm going to tell you that's your opinion.
No, it's not my opinion. It's truth.
Well, I've been a part of the town
Okay,
quite a long
but
time,
then again, I'm giving you perfect factual information, and it's recorded. I don't care, because it's the truth. But you're telling me that I shouldn't say anything about it, but yet everybody else? I had a guy that built a business and was harassed for having one container on his property.
You must be misunderstanding what I'm saying. I'm asking you if your intention is to make a complaint to the building department.
Absolutely.
My intention,
Absolutely.
Anthony, my intention is to step into that building department and let them know what I found out here tonight and express your concerns. I think it makes more sense that if it's me going in and you are going in and doing something in writing and memorializing that, don't you think that that's a little bit better of an avenue to take and it substantiates the claims?
Well, the claim is a claim. It's there. It's fact. I drove past there yesterday. The guy told me the truth. Unfortunately, he has a disgruntled employee.
I'm trying to kind of help you come to a conclusion. And as far as the recording is done by somebody who's private. This is just a resident of the town. It's not
doesn't make a difference. My point is, I am not going to be sitting here holding things back. I'm giving you the truth. I was told this. I looked at it myself.
Anything other than
you could see it right from the road. I took a ride down into Rolling Acres Trailer Park. I wasn't going to go on people's property. When you look through the woods, you can see them. They've been there the guy told me they've been there for years, but nothing was done to him because he's a good old boy and he's part of Scott. That's what the words that came out of his mouth.
Well, I can't control what somebody else says. To me, that's hearsay. I didn't overhear that. So you're telling me that, and I'm just going to take it as you're telling me.
You can take it for whatever it's worth, Dean, but you know me.
Tomorrow morning.
I'm a straight shooter. I don't play games.
And I think if you knew me, I think you would understand I am too. I will be in the building department tomorrow, and I will mention that to them and tell them what your concerns are and express what this is.
But it shouldn't be just my concerns. It should be all your concerns because you're the board.
Everybody's
going against the zoning laws.
Anthony, you want me to tell you that I'm going to go 6 o'clock tomorrow morning and pick these guys up?
No, that's not my point. You're missing my whole point.
March them in there. Let's have a little reasonability.
I'm not reasonable anymore.
Well,
Those days are over.
I'm sorry, but to end this, I told you, I will go into the building department tomorrow. I think it behooves you, and I think it's very important for you to write something up and give it to the building department.
Sure, I'll be a bad guy,
Okay?
say to you, no problem.
No, you don't have to be a bad guy. If you don't want to
No
do it, I
problem,
don't
Pat.
care. You've told me I'll do that. I'm telling you, when you document something, it substantiates.
Oh, absolutely, I know that. We had a job that you had to document everything.
I can't.
Trust me,
I
know.
can't tell you any more. Then that's what I'll do for you tomorrow.
Well, my point being taken is they've been there for years, but nobody said a word. What makes them so
Okay,
special?
Anthony.
I understand. That's what I'll do tomorrow morning.
Are you around tomorrow at all? During the day?
After 11 until about 1 o'clock.
Give me a call.
Okay.
I'll take a ride with you, and we'll go through Rolling Acres.
Okay.
My name is.
But wait a minute. Are you done, Anthony?
I'm done.
All right. Thank you.
Before he gets recognized. The concept started in 2019. In 2022, December 2022, it was signed with the other board, like you said. Okay? Things might have been discussed during those meetings, but what's the final outcome is what was on those prints. I wasn't the one that signed it, and that's what it goes by. Now, there is a 62-day window when something is approved, and that's when you go for an Article 78. Now, we're talking, now it's 2 years, what is it, a year and 2
5 years.
No, I'm talking about from the signing of the print, okay? So you're coming in right here, okay? About a year and a half ago, I believe, when they were cleaning out, when they were doing the, knocking down the trees, I told you, because you said they're up there at 6:30. I says, well, you call me up. You never called me.
Because they didn't come back again after I said
Okay,
something.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, I was here and I told you I will be there if you call me and if they're doing something wrong.
Not
the
denying
work,
that.
the work starts. What?
I never denied that. I never said you
Okay?
didn't.
No, I'm just stating a fact. Now, okay, that being said, all right, I cannot speak for another board, but I did go and look at that print. On the upper left, right-hand corner, it says about empty containers. Now, the way that is, like farms use it, when Hannaford's was doing their renovation, they had 2 containers there. It's a temporary thing. Temporary because a lot of projects, especially with the cost of material, they have to keep everything locked up, or else your windows are going to be down in somebody else's house. So now, in the last meeting, you said about toxic waste. And if you look at that print on the top corner, those containers will always be empty. No, wait a second. Excuse me.
Go ahead, you can go.
You talked?
Yep.
I'm
Go
talking.
ahead. Go ahead.
Now, I called Bobby Earl because I told him, can you arrange with the building department that once a month they go up there to make sure that they're empty? Because they go to the job site, they get used, they get filled, they get emptied at no given time, according to that print. Is anything supposed to be in those containers? I would assume that when he starts doing his construction, he would lock his stuff up as a temporary, just like Hannaford's. But to store up there, no. You have a storage facility over here on 4455. Up there is a business, and whatever's on there, that print, that's really what you go by. Whatever was done and talked about or suggested and was not put on that, that's what maybe you're questioning. But what's on there is the document that was agreed upon. That's all I'm saying. Okay? Now, like I said, 62 days, we're talking here a few years later. There was public hearing. I don't know if you went to the public hearings.
I was at a few of them.
And I also talked to him. I said, I suggest that they plant something to block the view, okay? And all I could do is make a suggestion because that's private property. That's out of my hands. There's a right-of-way, and that's it. But as far as you trying to berate us here, that's the part that I take offense on because I'm trying, like Mr. Depew said, we're all working to the common goal to try to make this right or do whatever because I'm not the lawyer. Whatever was done prior to me, we have to look at it. You said you're looking at it in Albany. If it goes to a civil, then it's out of our hands. It goes from lawyer to lawyer to court. Because once civil starts or anything like that, we have no more comment. Because or else anything we say will be if you do any kind of paperwork for a civil suit, this stops because we're not going to make no more comments. If something was done wrong and you're doing due diligence with all of this stuff, that will come back to us. But other than that, I'm not responsible, and 3 other people here are not responsible. It just so happens he was on the board, okay? But whatever was told, because the planning board works for the town board, they're supposed to do their job and due diligence. Now, they present that and say everything is in line. The board at the time accepts that because you don't have to have a planning board. You can have a planner. But they work for the town board. And if they say this is 100%, Mike, you were on there, on a board.
I was on the planning board.
And you know that what I'm saying is true. They work for the town board. They're not a judge like a judicial system like the zoning.
Right.
So whatever they do and bring it to the board for signing is because they did due diligence. Now, if something happened there, none of us know. But you take it because they have a chairman, vice chair, that they did their job. If something happens that you find something that a discrepancy, whichever way it has to be looked at will be looked at. But we're not responsible for that. But we're here to try to protect everybody, not just one individual, everybody. When you said about this, I sent the next day a card from Spagnoli because I want to cut ties. This way, normally you give local business the business. But when you said that, I sent a card for Spagnoli to get prices. This way, we don't have no financial dealings with Bobby Earl, only because of this situation. Because if you have financial ties and it goes to court and everything else, that's no good. So we're all trying to do our job, but I try to show you respect. Please show us respect. That's what I care about, because I understand you're upset, but we're all trying to work together to try to take care of what we have to do. You're not falling on deaf ears. That's what I'm trying to say.
Listen, duly noted.
Okay, because we are taking this serious. James is, all of us are. Dean, I mean, we're all trying to work together. We're on the phone with each other every day and different things. But I found the hard way that government does not work like the private sector. So you may think that we're not trying to do this, but we're trying to get down to getting it straightened out. Okay?
Let's hope so, because
I'm just saying, that's the thing.
Here's one thing I just want to reply back, if I may. To me, there's no reason really to cut ties with Mr. Earl if everything was done right.
No.
He'd still continue his business of what he's
But
doing.
because of this, I made a suggestion. This way there is no financial, no nothing, and because yes, he treats the town very good when we have everything up there. He brings his stuff in. Yeah, there's a bill. Well, it's not exorbitant, okay? But because you said this, I felt that we should cut ties because I don't want no problems. Because if somebody, and when you talked about Scott Mandowski, he said, we don't go around looking for problems. They have to come and fill out the paperwork, and then we will go. Because if we don't have a paper trail, it's a she said, he said, or whatever. Because I brought it to him. Because there was a container, and there was a board member on one of the other boards. I says, that's not supposed to be there. If he's not going to do and cover it up and do the way you made other people do it, it has to go. And it went within 1 week.
I didn't see that happen with all the people around this town.
But what I'm saying is, I'm not patrolling and looking for it.
That's not your job.
But if you bring it to my attention, I will look at it and see. When I first got in, within 1 week, I don't care what party it is. I don't care what it is. They asked me, there was $500,000 homes, and all of a sudden they're looking at chickens, okay? Because somebody had an illegal business. I went up there. I said, you can't do this. It's not my job. But the person says, I need action. So I try to go up there and see what was going on. And you can have, this town, you can have a chicken coop as long as you meet the setback. I said, can you put up a fence?
Well, I could care less about chickens. I'm worried about containers.
You're missing the point here. If it's brought to us, we're looking at it. We are looking at it. You may not think so, and it may not be fast enough.
It's been 5 years.
Well, it got signed it's not 5 years when it got signed in December of 2022.
I came here since 2020.
I
And I'm
understand.
still coming here today.
But it got finalized
Listen,
in
it doesn't matter.
2022.
It's been 5 years I've been dealing with it.
But it was
5.
2022, and that's what I'm going to say.
Okay, before you go on, I'm going to say one last thing, only because you brought up a very good point. It's something I don't want you to think that we're doing just because you brought this here, but something that we did notice this past summer is we have allowed businesses like Hannaford's and a couple other businesses to have a container on their property. And we allow them to have a container on their property for a small amount of time while they loaded their business stuff into it or their product, and then they worked out of it for like a week or 2 weeks or a month. We do not have any provisions in our code for that. We don't have any permitting. We don't have any acceptance. We don't have anything. So for a short term, that is something that we are looking at.
I'm not talking short.
I 100% understand, but I want you to understand that there's a lot of things that we do the folks in the town don't know. Tomorrow morning, I will be in there. If you'd like to get in contact with me sometime during the day tomorrow, I'll make myself available to tell you how I made out. So that being said, is there anything else?
Well, you brought up that point. I completely understand that, yes, when you're doing construction and those things happen, but when you drive by there, you can even look to see they've been there for years.
Understood. I just gave you a little bit of information, and as well as the audience and the film crew here. So that being said, if there's nothing else, then I would like to move to the other gentleman next to you. All right, thank you, Anthony. Yes, sir.
My name is Roy Jacobs. Listening to this conversation, maybe you could answer a few questions. One is, what was the zoning on that property
Zoning on what property?
where this operation is?
So I will tell you that it was, 2022? You alluded to a date. But I've been on the board.
2019.
Yeah, I've been on the board since 2013, but I've been on the town board, not the planning board, not the zoning board. For me to answer that accurately, I can't tell you. I can tell you this, and I have to own what I say. I can tell you this: when the project was presented, I think I was the only one on the board at that time on the town board. When it was presented at the time, and it was presented that it was an allowable use, and whatever we voted on, it was based on. It was. Excuse me?
Who presented that to you?
The supervisor would present it to us. The supervisor would come to the meeting and present the request. Somebody would have to either the planning board, I don't remember. I'm not going to be accurate when I tell you.
I understand. It's a
Either
long
the
time
planning
ago.
board or the ZBA, I don't know what the process was, but it made it to the town board. The supervisor is the one that presents it, very much like what I do here. I present it to the town board. I'm the one who's here all the hours of the week. These gentlemen have other things and obligations, and the councilmen don't really get the opportunity to see everything. I try to work our administration, and I say our because each one of us has worked very well together, and there's communication sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, and sometimes I think Mr. Fazio is here in the building and Mr. Castillo more time than I am. I'm very fortunate that I have everybody who wants to be here and get involved. At that time, the information was brought by the supervisor, presented, and it was voted on
So
with the information given.
the home that's next to this property, which was part of that property, I put up a house there. And of
Would that be the double wide on the north side?
and that was zoned, of course, residential to put
Yeah.
that house up there. And that's going back, more than 40 years already.
Would it be BD 60? I'm not even sure.
No, I don't think it's BD 60. I will look it up, Roy. I'll let Anthony or you know tomorrow.
So if this is a residential property, because there was a farm one time, and of course there was all this wetlands, and it was zoned residential or agricultural, wouldn't you have to get a variance from the zoning board to get to
can't
put a
answer that.
commercial operation in?
I didn't look at the
So I would have to say
Well, I
this.
think that's where we should start, because if he didn't go to the zoning board and get a variance,
They didn't.
and then right there it's illegal until he gets his variance.
The planning board normally looks at all of that, and if it's an allowed use, they don't have to go to zoning.
You're giving me semantics.
No, I'm not giving you semantics.
Because
They
you know
give a
as well
letter-
as I do,
they give a
you
letter
cannot
to the
be putting
zoning
a
board.
commercial operation in a residential without getting a variance.
I understand what you're saying, okay, but the code enforcer sends a letter to the planning board, and if he says it's an allowed use, if he says it's not an allowed use, once the planning board looks at it, they send it to the zoning. And zoning has the right to, like I always say, planning looks at straight lines, zoning looks at diagonal lines. So as they could bend rules one way or the other. That's what zoning is. In order to make it that it doesn't hurt the town, it doesn't hurt it's like having a mutual agreement, because you were on the board with
I was
me.
always under the impression that you went to the zoning board first,
Wrong.
and then you go to the planning board.
I think you can.
You could go there,
Okay,
but it's not right. It's not recommended.
So
I think
let me
once he-
Be referred to
Once-
Yeah.
So
Well,
let me
one stage-
ask you this. This is for my information
Yes.
as well. So when a project comes before the planning board, there's a prescribed path and certain obligations that they have to meet, certain boxes they have to check.
Yes.
Before the project goes through, or during the initial stages of the project, the code enforcement official has to give a letter of determination.
Right.
Yes.
The letter of determination should say that it meets the code 110-whatever.
Yes.
And those codes, although they may be residential, they may be mixed use.
Yes.
If it's something outside that mixed use, then that's where it may be referred to the ZBA
Yes.
for a
Yes.
variance or a change of use based on what the code
But you
says.
have to look and see if all of that was done that way, because.
So that being said, the letter of determination basically gives the planning board
The guidance.
it kind of opens up the valve for them to do what they need to do
Yes.
to meet everything in that code that says you have to meet this, you have to meet this, you have to meet this.
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, and crazy as it is, isn't there also a building that was involved in this property?
There's a building that's supposed to get built there.
Correct?
Yep.
And it has not been built yet.
No, it hasn't been built
Okay,
yet.
so that's all part of that project as
All
well.
part of that project.
So taking that into account, the planning board has to do their due diligence for light fenestration and making sure that the light's not intrusive, and there's certain
Yeah,
criteria
they have to do all of
and
that.
things they have to meet.
Yes.
Okay. So that being said, that is part of the process, like you alluded to. I don't want to say that it's not the board's responsibility and obligation to do that, the town boards. it's the planning board's obligation and responsibility.
Yes, well-
Hear me out, it's the code enforcement official's responsibility. It's the ZBA if it reaches them.
Yes.
So all of that being prescribed, the opportunity to find out if everything was followed was through FOIL, which you've done, and to making sure that you have all the information on the property, not just on the site plan, but any of the information that pertains to that project to find out if those boxes had been checked.
Yes.
So that would be the path.
But also,
I think it
I'll
needs
get
to
you
be.
in a minute.
hold on, Mike. Isn't there, you on planning, there's 3 boxes, right, with zoning. You have allowed use. What's the 3? There's allowed, special use, something else, correct?
Right.
And mixed use.
Mixed use.
Well, it's not just mixed. There's something else. Mixed use
There is 3.
in a lot of them, yes.
Excuse me, there
But
is
there's
3
3 boxes in zoning.
Yes. And
The first one's permitted
What do you know
uses.
this about?
Yes.
Yeah, you have a
We just
principal
talked about-
permitted,
yes.
accessory, special use, and then
Accessory,
Accessory,
and
yes.
accessory. So,
And that's why sometimes some of the uses, it may not be in the first column, it
well,
could
that's
be
your
in the
principal
second
permitted
column.
uses. That's
Yeah,
what it's written, first
right.
column.
First column.
And then special uses, then accessory uses.
Yes.
So back to you.
No, so
No, you
I
had-
just
you had
think
something
that
else.
you have to figure out if this was done, in that process that
Yes.
you're talking about. But normally when you go from residential to commercial, there's a lot more that goes on with that as opposed to going from commercial to residential.
As I remember, and again, I'm not going to be accurate on the time, but this whole project, the application process and when it went down forward,
2019,
that's when it initially started.
That's when it
And
initially
then
started.
When did the site plan get signed?
December of 2022.
So basically a 2.5-year project.
Yes, because COVID hit and stuff like that, and things got changed. Okay, and the
Things
other
got
thing,
changed, meaning meetings.
meetings and stuff like that. And the other thing is, on that print, there are no. And that's where it falls a little bit different. Nobody from the public is going on that site, because if a person goes there, the public, then they would have to have the lights. They would have, so it's for him to store his tools. The tools are the containers, empty at all times. And no public access, that means you don't have to worry about the drainage, you don't have to, because they cleared the thing, they put it there. When I say drainage, when you blacktop something, or you got to put.
If I'm not mistaken, I think also I read someplace that they're not even supposed to be cleaned on site.
Nothing on site. Nothing
Can
on
I just
site.
ask a question?
Yeah.
We, the board, have to look back into the minutes of these planning and zoning stuff now that this has all been done, and I'm just asking, and just
No, we as a board were being asked to correct what's felt is wrong.
Right.
And we have to do our due diligence and see if there was.
That's what I'm
And
asking.
Yes.
Once we do, then we have to follow the path to get that corrected. But what we have to do is,
So Willie, I think,
and I will tell you this, the process has already started.
we got to see what this zoning was.
The process is
I just
already
have one question I'm going to answer. You said about him saying about the containers being empty. I can tell you in a public forum, he stated, Mr. Earl stated, I am not responsible for whatever goes in those containers. I just drop them off and I pick them up.
Okay.
That's why, wait. That's why I asked last meeting, I said, did he put an umbrella insurance policy up, not only for himself, but for the town, if there's an accident, so you guys are covered?
No, and what I'm saying is, and he's right, they could put guns in there, but it's not going to his property. Whatever is whatever it's used for, it has to be clean on that person's property when he no.
But he stated he doesn't know that because he doesn't pick them up personally. That's my point that I'm telling you.
His company picks it up. So as far as I'm concerned, he's picking it up because it's his company.
So then it's his responsibility. Absolutely.
His responsibility. I don't care if he has 100 people.
Right.
It's his responsibility
and
to
that's
make
the
sure.
point I made at the planning board.
But that's why I went to the code enforcer. That and I told Bobby Earl, can you set up with the building department to have inspections once a month. He goes, well, as long as that thing is locked, we could do that. And that I try to bring it together because you're bringing a situation here, and we are all looking at it. We're not just looking at it. We're trying to figure this out, and we'll sit down with whatever was there, just like you foiled it, and we have to go over it. But like I said before, the code of the planning board worked for the town board, and if the town board says, okay, you did your job, and they give a letter, they normally give a letter, we recommend, and that's where the town board usually votes on it or signs it.
Can I just add something to what you were just saying? So recently, Mr. Castillo and myself did have this conversation. He had reached out to Mr. Earl. I have not spoken to Mr. Earl.
No, I did.
So Mr. Castillo reached out to him and spoke to him, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was very receptive to allowing the code enforcement official onto his property to do the inspections. And then myself, what I'd like to clear up is it's not a scheduled inspection. It would be an unscheduled inspection. So it wouldn't be, hey, they're coming, let's clean the place up, or hey, they're out of here and everything is okay.
The way I approached Mr. Earl is that to give permission to the building department to go up there, that all he has to say, we're going up there on that day. If you have cameras or anything, you're going to see us inspected. Not that, just like he said, not a schedule, but once a month to go up there.
Stand's getting tired.
I just I understand what you said about the planning board, but I can't imagine that the planning board looked at this and didn't give this guy, tell him that he should have went to the zoning board to get a variance to begin with, because you're telling me that this is a special use,
No, we're not telling you.
We're not saying that.
We're not telling you
or
anything.
agricultural. What are you telling me? Did he get a variance? That's
Mr.
what I'm asking you.
Mr. Jacobs, we're not telling you anything. The information that you just asked gives us another opportunity to go ask questions.
All right.
I'm not going to sit here and honestly, I don't want to be put on the spot to tell you something.
No, I understand. There's a
that's
lot
not
of things
true.
that you need to.
So-
but I actually came here about something else today, and I gave
This is
you.
your time to shine. Go right
I
ahead.
gave you a call a month or so ago.
Yeah.
There's an issue in Clintondale with the traffic by the post office and the firehouse.
Coming off that hill.
And, I was witness to watching a lady almost get hit by a car there. And it's amazing that you would think that, especially trucks and people in business, they would slow down coming through there.
Mm-hmm.
They come in 50, 60 miles an hour right through Clintondale. And what's surprising, if they see you in the street, they don't slow down. I don't know what that's
That's
all
where
about.
Sis Morrison got runned over.
I don't want to.
Sis,
Yeah, I was there.
She got ran over?
yes.
I was
Oh, I didn't know that. I saw her about a month or so
No,
ago.
this was
It
some
was
years
a
ago.
few years ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And I spoke with her about that, her and her husband,
Yes.
But it's crazy that, and we've had this problem. I can remember my father going up to Kingston talking about getting a light there because of the traffic and the way it would come down that hill. But it's so much worse now. So much worse.
Yes.
So
And the
let me
speed limit's
just say this.
35, isn't it, through there?
I don't know. I think it's 35.
And there is a flashing light when you come down.
That's
the
what I
hill.
was going to say. So I do remember our conversation
Yeah.
now, and I will tell you this, that I did reach out to DOT for a couple of things, that being one of them. The other thing was the timing on the traffic light that's over here at the intersection is horrendous. I've made probably 4 or 5 calls, and I was assured that they were going to come out, take a look at it. I was told at one time that they have some other kind of a traffic device that sees the cars, and if there's not cars in the other way, it speeds it up. But they didn't have that equipment yet, so the traffic light is supposed to be fixed. Up there, that's what I was told, and I can remember several years back, probably more than several, quite a few years back, coming down that hill going west,
Well-
there is lights.
There is a blinker, yeah.
I also will call right back out. I just made a note. I will call
But
them
it's
again tomorrow.
amazing even both ways, the
Yeah.
way they're coming.
That's just not a good area right there. It really
Agree with
is.
you.
But big trucks, I mean dump trucks and stuff coming 40, 50,
And you
60
also have
miles an hour.
Roar's Construction backing big trucks
Excuse
in
me?
too. You have Roar's Construction backing
Yeah,
trucks in.
well, you got Roar's, you got
Yep.
the post office, and you got
But
the
there
fire
definitely
department.
should be something there also for emergency access with the EMS vehicles going in and out of that parking lot. But I will
It's dangerous.
reach out tomorrow again to the engineer from
Yeah,
DOT.
thank you.
Express my concerns. Thank you. Sir.
Well, since everybody else spoke. Anyway,
Sorry, Mike.
getting back to the Earl property,
Yeah.
it sounds to me like a step was missed, that it went from the planning board to the town board, and from what I'm getting, the town board signed this thing, which the only thing I was aware of, unless something changed, that the town board really, the only thing they signed are performance bonds, like i.e. cell towers, solar panels, and road bonds, and maintenance agreements. So what I'm trying to understand from listening to all of this is, how did the town board get involved with signing this approval, where I think, like I said, it was, a step was skipped, where it should have gone to the zoning board, and instead of going from the planning board, from what it sounds like, to the town board. It's like something was missed here, and I think
So
that...
I don't know that it didn't go to the zoning board. I don't want to give inaccurate information, but as we're talking, some of the things come to mind. The property actually that goes out onto the road is actually part of a 110-acre parcel that's behind that sits in the town of Lloyd, which is owned by Blind Oak Corp. Blind Oak Corp. So the access that actually goes up in there is actually a right-of-way for the other two separate parcels that are on the right and the left that were sold by a company from, I believe, Middletown. And I can't remember what the 7 acres and 15 acres. It's two funny shaped pieces of property.
I think it's 7, I think.
It's kind of offset, but that's the property that Mr. Earl bought, and whatever arrangements he made with the owner of that property to have access across it. To me, there must have been already some kind of an agreement for
deeded right away.
He gave a deeded right away to use for uses to go back.
There was a whole thing written up from
I know it just wasn't
the
slated
town
together.
board, it was probably a 4 or 5 page agreement talking about that road going to his land.
Yeah, and I think that may be the only access to that property.
I forget what they called it. It was a floating.
Yeah, it was-
Floating zoning.
It was a floating
it's,
zoning, but had different wording.
Property back there.
That's what state on that.
Open
State
development.
I don't really remember what the term was, and I really don't. Like I said, I hate to even talk about it because I don't want to be inaccurate when I say something. But I do remember it was two separate parcels. The Blind Oak Corp access for the 110 or 100 plus acres in the back went through it, and I do know that at one time there was an opportunity for that property, that 110 acres, that there was access actually on the old rail trail that came across underneath the thruway and came out by Keon Farms off of South Highville Road. I do know that the thruway ended up closing that tunnel.
And they filled it in.
So the only access to that property now was by virtue of the town of Plattekill up into the town of Lloyd. So again, I don't really remember specifically why it was presented to the board. I just remember that it was presented to the board, and when it was presented to the board, I do remember that it was my same thing. I got in trouble for having containers also. And you got to move the containers. You got to move the boxes. You can't have them. You can't have them. You can't have them. And, then I saw these and I see them around and I say to myself, man, how does that happen? But the reality is, at the time, and again, with that site plan, there's supposed to be empty containers. It's a business. They take the empty containers, get a fee for it, utilize them wherever. And I have to say that he's right. He has no idea what's in them. When he rents them, he's supposed to rent them and then get them back empty. And I do agree. I did see in the writing that they're supposed to be cleaned off-site. They're not even supposed to be swept out
Nothing there.
off-site.
They're supposed to be
And
empty on site.
they're not supposed to be stacked more than two because it's a 24-foot height limit. And I don't know.
There's a 30.
Regardless of that, the point of the matter is, like I said, I had someone look over the zoning laws and everything that was done. I gave you those bullet points last meeting, and it says right in writing. He says it was never presented to the zoning board. It was just sent to the planning board and the town board, and they signed it off. It says it right in black and
That's
white.
what it sounds like.
So why do I have to keep bringing bullet points? Why do I have to keep keeping questions when I'm giving you all the information? That is my point. I apologize if you feel I'm being overzealous, but this is not happening in your backyard.
I totally understand it.
And it's been going on since 2020.
Anthony, I sit here, I listen to you. I sat out in the parking lot, I listen to you. I've been to your property, I listen to you. I will keep listening to you, all your concerns. I don't have a problem with that. I probably have more of a problem that I can't fix your problem and make it go away and make you satisfied and happy. But it's a slow process. It's inherently slow. More information I can get, the better, and then I can understand what that clear path is. I'm not going to lie to
take
you.
that comment from the last planning board person that told me that technically, while this is being looked at, that there should be a stop work order and all those containers should be added. That's just like an opinion, or is that something that could be truthful?
Look, again, I cannot control what somebody else says.
Right. No, that's why I'm
If
asking.
somebody from the planning board is telling you that, I don't know what relationship you had with them. I don't know what their motivation was to tell you what they were telling you. I don't understand why they would say anything.
Right.
It would make more sense that if you went to the code official and you said, hey, this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, if it's prescribed by the law that it should not be going on, then the person who actually says stop is the one who should have been the one that said stop. I can't tell you he said, she said.
Right. No, that's why I just asked you the question. Because it was just what I was said.
That's why.
Anthony, also on that note, that piece of property, what's it described as? Self-storage?
There's words, see, there's other thing, there's where it's been worded by Brooks and Brooks. That it was not
Self-storage
nothing about
unit,
storage
correct?
containers, but storage units. That's what she entitled it as.
I think that's what we gotta
gave
get
you
to the
paper.
bottom of.
You're more than welcome to look at it. It's the same reason why I'm bringing up the bullet points from last meeting where, this guy taught up in Albany, he code enforced, he looked over everything, he went through the foils, and he pointed everything out, and that's all on them sheets that I gave you prior to meeting. So I'm doing some of the work also because, like I said, I don't want to go to the next step. I've lived in this town all my life, pretty much. I don't want to go sell it. I really don't. I just want this matter fixed.
I can't tell you what to do.
No, but I'm just saying, that's my point.
In closing, you did say something earlier during your display there, your presentation. So during your presentation, you had said that Ms. Brooks walked out with you and told you blah, blah, blah. I'm going to tell you this, and I want it well known. Mrs. Brooks does not work for the town of Plattekill.
No, and I understand that.
So she works for people that come to her.
Absolutely.
So
But Scott Moundowski put his name on her paperwork.
Understood. He did work for the town of Plattekill at the time.
There you go.
Understood. But I don't want somebody misleading you. Again.
Oh, no, she couldn't mislead me. That's why she got frustrated and came back in here because I wouldn't listen to it.
This is what she said. So it was right.
Is that minutes?
No.
No, that's
what he just gave us.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. You bring it here because this is the board approved it, okay? But a small piece of paper, the complaint in there. This way, if he could shut it down, he could, or put a stop work order until it's done. But it's in that office, not us.
Because no disrespect,
I'll be there tomorrow morning.
Months ago.
I understand.
And I talked to the code enforcement officer. I think it was Vandermark. Is that who it is? Or
No.
Right.
We have
Greg
to.
Hermans?
Greg Hermans.
Hermans.
And he pretty much yesed me to death and hung up the phone. So it's not like it wasn't addressed.
Did you ever
Please
follow
write
up with
it.
him?
No, at that point I said I'm just going to start doing more research.
So please write it on, there's a complaint thing over there,
All right.
and please put it in writing. Because
Absolutely.
And I will be there.
There's been writings I sent to Salino that was here before, and her reply to me was, I don't have time for you.
Well,
And that's in writing.
again,
You know,
this is-
but this is my
this is the
frustration
board
that I'm trying to tell
I
you.
understand, but we've taken it very serious. I mean, and I'm telling you,
I'm hoping so.
to you because I don't want you getting upset and me not doing my job. You're bringing it here. I know Bobby since we were elementary kids, in this town. But business is business.
Absolutely.
And that's the way I do it, and I think the whole board does it. And that's why I said about cutting ties, because this way, that's the way it should be. Because I don't want no problems.
All right, I'm good. Anyone else? Yes, sir, you in the blue.
Sir, permission to come to
stand up now.
Your name, please.
Name for the record.
Name,
Robert
address.
Jackson. I'd like to give you this. I'd like you also to notice the date that this was actually sent to the town board previously.
Is this the original paper that they brought me during that meeting at the time?
April
About
5th of
6.
2024.
Yep. Yeah, this is already in the books.
I'm making sure because we came to ask a question and
Last meeting.
at the last meeting, we seem to have had an answer, but then what confused us was when we called Monday and finally did speak, if you spoke to the insurance company, like you said.
No, I did not speak to the insurance company. So I will tell you this. Question to our town clerk. They're already on the calendar, correct?
Yes.
And originally, if I'm not mistaken, I just want to look at this real quick. Originally, you talked about a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday date.
Friday the 28th,
Okay.
the 29th, and the 30th. They're for
Okay.
cleanup.
So this was the original paper that was given to me in 2024.
Correct.
So the April 5th, I don't remember who was here. If you were
It
here.
was probably Doug,
Doug was definitely
Robert
here.
Patanzas the third, and it might be Aaron Kapasky.
100% right. So when they presented this, we did get them in the books. We did agree to allow you guys to have your 100th year celebration. There was talk back at that time about a beer tent.
Yep, and it's
having
actually on
vendors. And the 2 weeks ago when you came, you had told us that it was not going to be a 3-day event, that you were going to just do the parade and the fireworks. The parade was going to happen about 4 p.m. in the afternoon.
4 p.m. and be at the town park about 5.
Afterwards, you were going to have fireworks, and you had requested a beer tent to be
Yep.
over there. So
It would probably be more of a garden, no tent.
a what?
A garden,
Just like a little
like
boarded off
enclosed area.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And I think we did say that.
being said, I did tell you during that meeting to call me on that Monday to see if I got in touch with the insurance company, and you did call me.
I did.
And I asked you to go ahead and give me something more specific in writing because this was not accurate to what we had talked about 2 weeks ago. So this is good. I have a copy of this. This is good. But as far as the fireworks, I believe what we have to do is first see what the board's feelings are. I'm not sorry, not the fireworks.
Well, then I'm asking.
As far
what's
as the
your
beer
feeling?
tent seems to be what you're concerned about, correct? Or
We're concerned about being able to host a parade in this town.
Yeah, it's already in the books. It's already
Okay,
been
this
approved.
is what I'm going to ask.
Yep.
Do you support us having the parade in this town?
1,000. I do 1,000%.
1,000%.
Mr. O'Connor, do you support the parade in this town?
Yes.
Mr. Castillo,
Yes, sir.
Supervisor DePiero,
100%.
Mr. Fazio.
Who knows? Is there going to be beer? I want some.
I'm asking you a question.
Yes. Yes.
Mr. Hoppenstead.
100%.
So
Go ahead.
we asked if you'd contact the insurance the last time. You said you would, and it didn't happen.
I also asked you on the phone when we talked if you would update this and give us an accurate depiction of what you want. So before we go any further, let's do this because I feel almost like you're, in a sense, challenging the board.
I'm not challenging the board. I'm asking.
When is your actual parade going to take place in your fireworks? When do you want to have that?
If you look on that, it's August 29th of 2026.
I want to make sure that I'm accurate. And you want use of the park and the parking area. and the use of the parking area and everything else. There's something else that I told you that I have to do, but I don't
This
really.
was the setup the day before.
Oh, that you want the Friday also?
Yeah, we did say that.
A Sunday is the
And
cleanup.
the cleanup.
And we did say
But you're
that.
not going to do your Mardi Gras parade and everything else. That's off.
We're probably not going to do a Mardi Gras.
Okay, so I'm gonna, just so we have it on record and it's in the books, I want to make a motion that we absolutely allow the Plattekill Fire Department and actually look forward to their celebration for the use of the park on Friday, August 28th, Saturday, August 29th, and Sunday, August 30th, which would be the cleanup. And this would be for their 100th anniversary celebration. I will also include in that motion that we allow them to have the fireworks, and they will do all the paperwork, their responsibility as far as insurance or anything that they have to do, permits or what have you. That's totally on you guys.
That's what we are trying to get ahead.
Yeah, so you are set with that. When we look at the memorabilia sales, before I close out that motion, what was the memorabilia sales? What was that, like Firematic stuff?
Yeah, T-shirts, mugs,
Yeah.
hats,
So-
whatever.
So that to me is acceptable as well. DJ or a band, whatever. So let me ask you this, so we can be specific with this as well, and I'm going to continue that motion. But when you envision your 100th anniversary, your celebration, and the footprint of the park, would it be very similar to our fireworks celebration as far as the way it would be set up?
That's what we're looking at, yes.
Okay.
Because we know up top, as we discussed that Monday night, with the new pickleball court and everything,
Yeah, we're gonna keep it.
we're going to have to see how you guys do it
Exactly.
this year and the year before.
Yeah, we
after.
discussed that we would have two opportunities. We would actually have
Two
this year's
practice
25, two practice runs, so to speak. 2025 celebration, 2026 celebration, then yours would follow right after that. So that being said, the only thing that I have to do is make sure, I don't foresee that there's a problem, but the only thing I do have to do, and I didn't even think about it until after we had spoke, or maybe I even said something to you, is I want to make sure that we can work that out with the soccer league.
Which you did actually
Yes.
see.
Okay, and that's what I have to do. I believe in our contract, if something like that comes up, then we're basically given, I don't want to say carte blanche, but we
Right.
are carte blanche because it is the town of Plattekill. So I make a motion that we go ahead and allow that to happen. And I'm going to do this in that motion as far as the beer tent and the security area requiring the ID. You would also talk about, and I asked you to put that in writing as well, that you were going to hire, I believe, an organization or something to serve the beer and monitor it.
Yes.
The Red Knights.
The Red Knights, thank you.
Yes, which is actually a Firematic and EMS group. There's
they
a lot
are.
of law enforcement involved in that. Very good.
They've
group.
actually, in Orange County, when Goodwill had their parade, had them.
So they know what they're doing. It's not
yes.
just a bunch of people getting together.
You
which is
have
very good.
actually, there's people in that organization that you know
Yep,
that
absolutely.
run that. They've been into Newburgh doing theirs. They're firemen in Ulster County, so.
So I'll make a motion to allow this to happen and go forward. And I'm going to do this, and the board we can have discussion on this. But the only exception I am going to put onto it is if we find out that for some reason that we can't have that. But the beer area, we have had it in the past for other organizations, fire departments, and I'll make that motion that we go forward with this and we fine tune that portion of it to make it
I would
work.
like to second that motion.
I wanted to second that.
I beat you because I don't drink.
You're old, you can second it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
at just about this parade, you're all going to be invited.
Okay. But before you go on,
Let us
hold
finish the
tight.
motion.
Oh,
We have
sorry.
a motion on the floor and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. So carry.
You will all be invited. You will all be marching in it, whether
Wait
you
a
like it or
minute.
not.
We're going to march.
Not with us,
Okay.
in front, behind us somewhere. But well, I'm sorry.
No, we're looking forward to it. I think it's another great opportunity for the community to actually thank and enjoy and just a great event. I am sure it's going to be
And hopefully you
fantastic.
might even get more people to sign up. to be in the firehouse.
Yeah, and again, we'll talk more on how that'll happen and how that we can do that and make that happen, not only securely but safely and the right way. More than likely, what you guys will have to do, and we'll talk about it more, but you'll probably have to get an insurance certificate.
Oh, we have no problem doing that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that as it plays out. But
Yep.
again,
But we can start
when you're ready.
getting.
Oh, 100%. I
Thank
thought you
you.
guys were already in the books and running.
Well, not with the
Well, you got the,
They didn't want to do anything to
it's already
for the
documented.
fireworks and everything.
Yeah. Well, you're already in the books, and I think you're already in for all 3 days,
Yep.
correct?
Yeah,
Yes.
Nope, we just want to make
there's
sure
a
we
lot
have
of
permission
logistics to
to.
do with that. There was some concern and some questions about setup and breaking
Yep,
down.
and it's all.
You guys, but I'm saying you guys are going to do that, correct?
Yep, we might reach out to organizations in the town to help,
Yeah.
whether it be the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, or
Understood.
I hope you have a bright sunny day.
I
So do
am
I.
looking forward, and just to let the folks know that not only Plattekill is their 100th anniversary that date, but Clintondale
Clintondale's
also
the next month, and then I'll go 2 years after that, and it's
is
Modena.
Modena. Yep. So
Big parade's coming.
I'm going to say those are very, very good events and very respected events. So yes, and keep in touch with us, and I
Of
will
course.
keep in touch with you as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sarah, you got anything to say? You want to pitch your blood drive? Maybe big.
Oh, well, that's, I'm going to pitch that at the end, but now's a good time to pitch it. So.
Because everybody's going to leave.
So our town clerk, yes, our town clerk has put together a fun drive, and Sarah, we I don't even want to say we hit our goal. 1,000 pints is our goal. So let's see what we can do with that.
Okay.
But we do have people signing up, correct?
Correct.
And this is a rain or shine event.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
What is it again?
March 15th.
Yep, March 15th.
Did you sign up?
So we ask anybody, and
surgery on
bring
the
3
18th.
people with you, and that would be a great opportunity to save
me down.
lives.
Okay.
What's the time, Sarah?
9 to 1.
Put Mark down.
I
For double.
Okay.
don't do that either.
Let me see here. Is there anyone else? Anybody else? Anybody else? You good? Okay, I will make a motion to close public input at 8:35 p.m.
I will second that motion.
Okay, got a motion to close public input at 8:35 p.m. All in favor? Motion with a second, I should say. Aye. And opposed? So carried. Thank you very much. We did receive a letter to advertise the mowing bids from the Highway Superintendent Robert Boyer Sr. Town Board, Town of Plattekill, mowing of the town facilities and hay fields. I suggest that we advertise for the bid for the mowing of the town of Plattekill facilities and the hay field at the next town board meeting 3/5/2025. I suggest we open the bids on 3/31/2025 at 11 a.m. and then award the bid on 4/2/2025. I make a motion that we move forward with these bids and get them out in the newspaper. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to move ahead.
Second,
We have a
Joe.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So carried. Next thing we have here is a letter also from the Highway Superintendent, and this is regarding summer hours. To Supervisor DePue from Robert Wager Sr., summer hours. Date February 19, 2025. This is to let you know that the Town of Plattekill Highway Department will be starting their summer schedule on Monday, March 31st, 2025. The hours will be Monday through Thursday, 6:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. No motion needed there. Next thing we have, the electronic fund transfer policy. This is a policy, gentlemen, that you received in your mailboxes. Hopefully you looked that over, and I am going to make a motion to adopt this policy. This is quite extensive reading. If you want me to read it for the public, I will, but if not, there's copies on the back table, and please feel free to grab them. If there's not enough, we'll make more, and just let the public know that they can get copies of this Town of Plattekill electronic funds transfer policy and procedure in the town clerk's office upon demand. So I will make a motion that we adopt this.
I'll second.
We have a second on the floor. Is there any conversation or discussion on this needed?
No, I read it. So.
Everybody's good?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you.
Do I have to make a motion that you sign it?
You know what?
I'm going to make a motion that
Well, go ahead and do that.
Supervisor
arbitrarily, yes.
Depew signs the fund transfer policy and procedure.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? Okay, we have a motion on the floor with a second to have the supervisor authorize and sign the Town of Plattekill Electronic Funds Transfer Policy and Procedures. And I'll tell you what. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? So carried. If you would pass that down to the town clerk, I would appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, the next thing we have an introduction of local law number 2 of 2025, and this is for fire exemption. So I believe it was 2023. This local law amends the Town of Plattekill local law 4, local law number 1 of 2023. And what this is, I will tell you folks kind of in a nutshell, so to speak. What this is was we passed a law in 23 that actually gave an exemption to fire and EMS personnel in the town of Plattekill. And these were for people that would volunteer their time and their lives, literally, to service the town of Plattekill as far as EMS, fire suppression, and other emergencies. And basically, I think it was a fantastic opportunity to give back to the volunteers who constantly give. Recently, back in December, I believe it was, the latter part of November or December, there was a law to include, and we had to pass a special or another law, an amendment, if you will, to include folks that live in our town, or excuse me, live in other towns, but actually volunteer in our town. I'm always saying this backwards.
Doesn't it go the other way,
who
Dean?
live in our town and volunteer in
Somewhere
neighboring
else.
towns.
Yes.
So we did have a request from several folks that worked in other towns and felt that their time was spent in the other towns, and they joined fire departments in adjacent towns, and this gives them an opportunity for the same exemption. I will tell you that I do know that there's also folks that live in other towns that volunteer in our towns, and I'm grateful for it. So that's what this law is. So it is the Town of Plattekill local law. This is an introduction, and then I will set a public hearing date on this law. So as an introduction, I'm going to go ahead and read this, and I will try to read it quickly. This is Town of Plattekill local law number 2 of 2025, entitles Extension of Partial Real Property Tax Exemption for Volunteer Firefighters and Volunteer Ambulance Service Workers. Be it enacted that the Town Board of the Town of Plattekill in the County of Ulster, State of New York as follows. This local law amends the Town Plattekill local law number 1 of 2023 as follows. Section 1, purpose. The state real property tax law was amended by Chapter 670 of the laws of 2022 by the addition of a new 466-A, providing for a 10% partial real property tax exemption of the assessed value of the primary residence owned by a qualifying enrolled member of an incorporated volunteer fire department or fire company or incorporated volunteer ambulance service that serves the town. The town enacted the same law, local law number 1 of 2023. The intent of the local law is to opt in to recently enacted real property tax law section 466-1, which allows municipalities to extend the partial exemption to qualified volunteers who serve in neighboring jurisdictions outside of the Town of Plattekill, New York, and hereby to sustain and increase volunteerism in those essential organizations. Section 2, authority. This local law is adopted pursuant to real property tax law 466-1 and also is authorized by the municipal home rule law. The state of local governments, Article 9 of the New York State Constitution, and other applicable authority. Section 3, grant of exemptions. The primary residence, real property located in the town that is owned by a qualified enrolled member of an incorporated volunteer fire company, volunteer fire department, or incorporated volunteer ambulance service that provides services within the town or to a neighboring jurisdiction shall be exempt from taxation and assessment levied by the town to the extent of 10% of the assessed value of such property, exclusive of special assessments subject to the requirements set forth in a local law. Section 4, eligibility, lifetime exemption, spousal exemptions, application requirements. All of these matters shall remain as per local law number 2 of 2025. Section 5, no diminution of benefits. No applicant who is a volunteer firefighter or a volunteer ambulance worker who by reason of such status is receiving any benefits under the provisions of Article 4 of real property tax law on the effective date of local law shall suffer any diminution of such benefits because of the provision of the local law. Section 6, separability. If any provision of the local law or the application thereof to any person or circumstance be adjudged invalid by any court or contempt jurisdiction, such judgment shall be confined in its operation to the part of the provision or application directly involved in the controversy in which such judgment shall have been rendered and shall not affect or impair the validity of the remainder of this local law or application therefore to other persons or circumstances, and the town board of the town of Plattekill hereby declares that it would have passed this local law or the remainder thereof had such invalid applications or invalid provisions been apparent. Section 7, effective date. This local law shall take effect immediately on filing with the Secretary of State. So that is a motion on the introductory. So I will make a motion to accept this as the introductory of local law number 2 of 2025, fire exemptions.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor with a second. Is there any questions on this? Questions, concerns?
Question on the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. All right, thank you. I think that's a very worthy addition to that law. Did you want a copy of that?
I got one.
Excellent. Always looking out for you. Okay. I would like to make a motion to set the public hearing date on local law number 2 of 2025 for 3/19/2025. That would be our next town board meeting, 7 p.m.
I will second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor with a second to set the public hearing on 3/19/2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Before I read this, is there any questions, concerns, comments by the board? Mr. Hoppenstead? Mr. Fazio? Mr. Castillo?
Did the clerk come in?
No.
Okay. That's it.
Mr. O'Flaherty?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay. I will also like to ask our town clerk, any questions, comments, concerns?
No.
All right, I thank you very much. So that being said, I will make a motion to approve the vouchers. Supervisor DePue will make a motion to pay the voucher detail report dated March 5th, 2025, which includes the A, general fund in the amount of $144,437.91, the DA highway fund in the amount of $31,012.98, the bridge band, this is the H1 Bridge Band New York in the amount of $34,309.27, and this would be for a grand total in the amount of $209,760.16. Recognizing that the audit committee has reviewed the claims and found them acceptable for payment. That is a motion.
Second.
Looking for a second. We got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Before I close out the meeting, I will let the folks know that the bridge band that I just alluded to is part of the construction of the bridge on Old Mill Road. That is in the process of being replaced. You know, it's kind of a slow, steady process, but it is progressing diligently, so I can appreciate that. In Clintondale, the board was able to get the funding together for the engineering and feasibility and study and the write-up on the engineering for the sidewalk on Maple Avenue in Clintondale. And if anybody sees anybody out there, yesterday, today, and I believe half a day tomorrow, there is actually a surveying crew out there. They are doing their due diligence. We kind of had a kickoff meeting, if you will, by Zoom call yesterday, and it all looks like full steam ahead. So the anticipation is to get all the engineering done, and as part of the process, we're hoping to look for the funding and through grant processes, obviously, and get that sidewalk up on Maple Avenue replaced. So that being said, I will make a motion to adjourn at 8:45 p.m.
Second that.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor with a second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Opposed? So carried. Thank you, folks.